2 acres of land, most
The
houses.
reason why they laid it out that way, so these people had gone through they had gone through the depression, yeah, and they literally calculated that you could support a family on 2 acres if you lose your job and so on. So they that's it. And it's one of the things that I kind of think I would do differently now. And we've talked about this quite a bit because, I mean, maintaining 2 acres is all good and well if you're healthy and but once you get a little older and you may not have the physical strength to do that, it can it's hard.
That's what kids are for now.
Well, yeah, no, I teased my kid. We were stacking wood today. I said that's why I had 5 kids. I said because I know it's a lot of the work is. But no, it's something that you see here when people age. That I mean, if there were an option to have a quarter acre or something, which would be very small, it would be helpful to them.
Actually, zoned by the township,
Yeah.
by our choice,
Yeah.
where there's a minimum of 1 acre, minimum lot. And, but then when people want to stay, we thought of different arrangements where, like 4 parties could share a lot and have a house, maybe a 2 acre. And we can't do that because of township zoning, which our community is one of the driving forces to have comprehensive zoning in the township. So,
Yeah, walk that.
But when you drive or walk around, you'll see. I mean, there are properties that are look a little bit like some other suburban properties, but most of them, like my 2 acres or our 2 acres, is one half is wooded, and I'm trying to have sheep. I don't want to own them, but there's other people with sheep, and occasionally I have them. We call them pasture sheep when they come over, and they kind of keep everything under control. And then they go back to the owner.
probably
So,
right inside the door.
And some people have 2 acres and don't have a lawnmower because it's so shady and it's so full of
Leave on the
trees.
table where the drinks are. If you want to put it in the sink,
So-
it's all the way. If
So
you
it's
go in the
it
door,
varies,
make
and we
a left. It's just
people really are free to do. I mean, we follow the township regulations, but we also have something called a community planning committee. I should say a little bit more about the committees. And so if you have major renovation plans or changes to your lot, besides the township regulations, we want you to check with the immediate neighbors to make sure that they're okay with it. And normally that's a formality to change, to make dramatic changes to your property, whether it's your house or whatever. Because we've had conflicts, particularly, I mean, when it comes to, like, people say, I'm going to put up a fence and I want to have some sheep, and the direct neighbor may not be thrilled about that, yeah.
Right.
Because when you sign on to join the community, we say we discourage fences. Yeah. You'll see there's very few fences.
you're just
except
not
for
allowed to have a perimeter fence.
Yeah.
But you can contain animals if you don't cover your whole lot, whatever. Yeah. And actually, there's a township rule that you really can't have fences at the front of your house. But so many of the houses here, their front entrances aren't in the front. That really
It's hard for
complicates
them to,
things.
yeah.
So the back entrance is good?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, really, I mean, we have. I would say it's probably 3/4 of my property has this sheep fence around it. I checked with the neighbors. In fact, people love it when the sheep are there.
Oh, I'm
Yeah.
sure. Yeah.
So
They're
it's
so fun.
it's.
How did you find these properties? How big is this place?
It was 2 farms, and they said they literally bought them probably like before '48. It was like before the
I
war.
know,
I think.
in the late
Yeah.
30s, because
Yeah,
the
like
community was
30s.
founded in 1940. So
Yeah.
So-
So
you
it
see
was
some of the
2
remnants.
farms.
The stone walls here, that's the remnants of one of the farms. Yeah.
Oh, beautiful.
And,
a big barn.
that building too there. So the stone, so everything that starts there where the propane tanks are, from there on, that's all added on. The stone structure.
Look at that table. What?
And it said the original farmhouse is where the pole is now.
Cool.
So we have a board of directors. There's 7 members that are elected to the
God
board.
manages
There's no
board.
paid position in the community. There's no position that's
Yeah.
paid. So we have a board of directors with the president, the vice president, and 5 additional board members. They serve for 3 years Then we have 3 elected committees. One of them is what we call the nominating committee, and they organize the elections and kind of bug people or invite people to run for elected office. Then we have a housing committee, which manages. Well, normally there's not much to do except for they will. We've had a couple of instances where we ended up owning a house, which we don't like to do. But like when people default on their mortgage or they don't pay their taxes,
And it's normally estates. It's not normally the people that came in here. It's normally their
people
kids
pass
or
away.
whoever
There's
inherited it. So.
Right.
relatives who are not particularly connected to the community who are supposed to take care of things, and that doesn't happen anymore. And then we suddenly find out that we're close to a sheriff's sale because and then we of course to protect ourselves, because we have a membership process to join the community, so we have some control over who joins here. And that's really important because we are literally also co-owners of the land and so on. So if people, we are tied financially also in that sense. Yeah.
Right.
So that's the housing committee, and then we also have a membership committee. So when people go through the membership process, the membership committee manages that. In that, Ed is the chair of the membership committee right now.
How many acres?
240.
246, yeah.
It's 246. Yeah, I always say 240.
Wow. It was divided by 75, you said.
No,
Well,
there's
no,
a lot of common land.
We have 100 acres of common land. This is part of the common land.
Yeah, and actually most of the common land is, I don't know if you ever heard of an environmental group called Nature Conservancy. And so instead of
Heritage.
it's a break off from Nature Conservancy.
Okay.
But their whole thing is, we're not going to tell you what to do with your land. Just if you don't want your land developed, you give it to them, and then they protect it.
Okay.
And so most of the common land's protected by them. If the community ever fell apart for any reason, they would take control.
Nothing can ever happen on those 100 acres. This was a very smart idea to protect ourselves from real estate pressures.
Yeah.
I mean, can you imagine 240 acres in Southampton today?
Oh yeah.
A millionaire can come in, buy everybody out, and put I don't know how many McMansions up
So
here.
how much is it for a year? You said 100 or something
For what?
to join?
No, so so in order to manage all of this, we have monthly assessments, and that's right now it's the point system. Most lots are around 10 points, and 1 point is 13.8 or whatever. So I would say, on average, every member family has to contribute, I would say, between $110 and $140
A month?
Oh,
Yeah,
that's
now,
great.
on the other hand, the condos up the hill.
Pays for everything.
Yeah,
That's
but
great.
The road repair.
but
Pool
the
management.
condos up the hill, of course, they're cutting your grass and all that,
Sure.
but like $350 a month.
Oh yeah.
Wait, they have condos? It's not like living in tents?
No,
or anything?
No, so I think, I mean,
We're
with
trying to
my
buy
family,
land
if we
and make a community
membership in
and have it
a
free
pool,
government
in
paid.
town, for the family for the summer,
You know what I
costs
mean?
about the
You
same
can't use
as our annual
metal.
assessments to live
We
here.
can make wood facets and stuff like that, like the Vikings.
The Vikings had forges.
Yeah, but they didn't. Well, I just sawed metal today with like mineral oil and a saw. That melted. I melted a skateboard trucks. I threw it in the fire and then it came out of glove. And the kid, I was just sitting there like with the clamp.
But smelting is so much more fun.
I like to do that when we get to that
This
level.
morning we had so the first Saturday of the month is our community day. I mean, there's a lot of other things happening, but that's when we work together in the morning, have a leisurely break mid-morning with lots of goodies. And then now we have our cover dish at 5:30, and we have our business meeting at 7.
Every day I'm like,
And so that's the first Saturday of the month, unless it's
We're really
conflicts
excited.
with
We're
like the
trying
4th
to
of July
build
weekend,
our
and many
own,
people
but
are
we're just kind of
traveling or
in the
whatever, so there's a
beginning
couple of times.
process
But that's our routine. So, but back to these committees, so the board, 3 elected committees, including the membership committee that helps
I don't know. I
newcomers
think they
to
were talking more like
navigate
beehive
how the
county,
membership process works,
We're not really sure
which
yet.
includes some paperwork,
Yeah,
some
that's the biggest
financial statement, but importantly,
We have 4 acres. at our
meeting with not everybody, but a lot of the residents here. And the way that's done is through an agent. So somebody in the community will volunteer. If you were to go through membership, you would get an agent, and you would tell the agent, you know what, every other Thursday I'm available for a meeting. And you would come out every other Thursday, and the agent would make sure that at a particular house, say 3 families or maybe 4 families come together, and you have essentially a 2-hour conversation. You get to know your neighbors, they get to know you, and that process can take a while, but it allows us to kind of assess the people in the sense of, are they really committed to community? And likewise, for the people who go through the membership process, they kind of feel like, is this really the place for me? I mean, we have people who after a little while, they say, you know what, that's not for us.
Although, what a blessing, too.
Yeah, actually
And
more
it can be
people
yeah.
reject us than the other way around.
Yeah.
You have
We
to go through the
rarely
process
vote.
to say, I don't want it.
We rarely vote against people. I mean, in most cases, like Ed was saying, and it can be like, for example, you can only sell your house to somebody who's already gone through the membership process. So the market is not the same as on the outside.
Oh, my goodness.
And like, if people say, you know what, but in 3 years I may relocate from my job to wherever,
Oh my gosh,
I would recommend
so
against
adorable.
settling here because you may not be able to sell your house for a year or two. Yeah? I mean, so those are the things. I mean, my oldest sons are nearly 30 and 28, and they live in Colorado. And right now, I would not recommend that they join our community because they are not settled enough, relationship-wise, work-wise.
What a
It would be
cutie.
so.
We have 4 children between us.
How big are the houses? And how many families do they own?
75 families.
Yeah, they're all single family houses, and that's
Oh, thank you.
township rule too.
So if we
Well,
get one
3 of
house
them are
for
my
each family, we all get to
stepchildren,
like have like the same like
Over 10 years.
4-acre lot.
So there's 2 acres per house. Yeah. I mean, there's a couple of
They have a
houses.
family, they
that-
have a family, and then we have a family. So that'd be 3 lots, and then we got $300. We have 3 for each month.
Yeah. I mean, that's yeah.
Will you show us these houses that we could get right now?
Well, I mean,
Really none right now. I mean,
really-
it's that's part of the thing here.
So
So
awesome.
all the money
I love
we've
that
ever
that's cool.
spent, like to build the community center, buy the
I live
land,
in that.
Yeah.
you know,
Because it's like
build the
trying to
roads,
fool by yourself.
comes out to like $3,800 a family. So when you move in, you buy
yeah,
a
that's
share
right. A share in the
in
community.
the community. It's $3,800. But because of that, when you're buying the house, you're not buying the land. So the house should go for a lot less than it goes on the outside
So you have to
because you're
pay
not buying the land.
the whole thing in one shot?
So you when you join the community, you like, I forgot what it's called a C certificate.
Stands for capitalization.
Yeah.
It's your
So
share.
it's my family's share in the community is like I think it was between $3,000 and $4,000. So you have to look it up. And you get when you leave the community, you get that back, but without interest. Yeah. But that's your kind of your share in the cooperation. Yeah. I mean, in the corporation. So. Besides these elected committees, we are what 15 committees easily that are all pure volunteer, and so there's no elections for those committees. We have a tractor committee. So in the little barn there behind this building, we have a tractor. Well, not everybody should be using the tractor, so there's 4 people on that
The
committee.
mommy of the little baby, the only baby here. I saw the baby. I look for
There's a
babies.
sports committee. We have, I don't know if you've been out there, we have a wonderful community garden. So,
I will.
People join committees
will
that
hold the
they,
baby.
for 2 reasons, or they feel they have expertise and they can contribute, or they say, you know what, I'd love to learn. I've never gardened, but I wanna learn to garden from people who know what they do. And so it's we have a road committee, so they assess the roads and they say, you know what, that stretch needs to be repaired now. So it's that's how we operate. Really. A lot of things, and like at the monthly business meeting, a number of the committees will report. There's a monthly report, so when we say the first Saturday of the month is our community day, there's a lot more going on. Yeah, I mean there's all these volunteer committees
didn't know you were in.
All these volunteer. So this is my son from Colorado. He's everybody's he grew up here. So I'm happy to see him. But so a lot goes on in the community. Nobody's forced to do anything that they don't like to do.
Sure.
But you are kind of you make it. I would say you're expected. Yeah, you're expected. But most importantly, when you join this community, you commit to being active participant. We have no religious, no political. There's no other. Really, the only thing we try to assess in the membership process are these people really. Do they understand that this takes some work? Yeah? I mean, I remember there was a couple one time, and they were maybe both doctors or so, I don't know, and they were like crazy schedules, and they just loved the. I mean, of course, who doesn't love Gweled? But it was like, really, I mean, when are they ever going to do something for this place? Yeah, and they recognize that too, and they say, look, this is if we can, I mean, so it's and the nice thing I feel, and I mean Ed and his wife Beth are really key people in this community. John Harding, who just passed away, John always said he was also, I called him the mayor of Bryn because he was such a key person in this community for many years. John always said, he says, I do a lot for this community, but I get even more back in return. And that's what it is. Yeah. I mean, really, when you, I went through divorce here, so it was a rough time with all my family in Belgium and everything. So, I mean, without Gweled, I would not be in the US anymore. There's no doubt. And it's an amazing place, and the kids. I mean, while you raised your kids here, but I like to tell the story. I think it was my oldest one or Bryn. I don't know. They had to in elementary school. They had to make a drawing of their house and tell a little bit about where they live. And I think it was Ilya, the oldest one, and he says, Dad, should I say that my property is 2 acres or 240 acres?
Because that's how.
Right.
Because that's how,
Yeah.
I mean, the kids, I mean, my guys, they know the woods better than I do. I mean, they know the woods.
And that's the other thing too about knowing all your neighbors. My guys were in elementary school. It was half-day kindergarten, but there was 5 families with kids the same age. And each family took them one afternoon a week, and you probably wouldn't even know 5 other families anywhere else.
That's so fun.
Kids the same age. So.
And again, that these things come and go. I mean, really, if people are passionate about something, they'll get it going, and it will work as long as it's needed. I mean, some initiatives fail because it sounds like the greatest idea, but there's not enough energy behind it, and then so.
Oh, it's him.
I don't know, can we?
I'll ask, let me see if I can mobilize somebody.
You got a knife, then do it.
I'll look for a knife. I've talked enough.
So,
Thank you.
this place,
It's all good info.
do people like use it as a vacation spot? And like,
No, it's I mean, we really sort of discourage anything, other than, I could see somebody having a Verbo or something in here, and
Sure.
and then, people be loud partying every night. And, it's our neighborhood, and
Right.
we want peace and quiet.
Right.
Yeah.
well, no, we didn't mean that type.
Yeah.
I just mean like people come and go, like live here and then go live somewhere else.
No,
and live there,
like
go
I
somewhere
said,
else.
it's hard to get in and it's hard to get out, and it's both on purpose. They thought about it a lot, and it's for the kind of stability we want, sense of community, and it's like you said, you can only sell your house to somebody that's been through the membership process, which really limits the market. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. Right now, there's crazy demand for here. I think, a lot of people are longing for sense of community that doesn't exist in modern life. And,
Yeah.
and this is a proven model that works, but part of what makes it work is the stability,
It's amazing it's been going so long.
Yeah, we are probably the most successful intentional community in the country.
Yeah.
And I put it down to, we don't demand anything. We try to find people who meet the expectations of what we want to happen here. We get one shot at it in the membership process. If we make a mistake, sometimes people move here looking for a cheap house. They got it, and we never see them again. That does happen.
What happened? What did they do then? Because that happened.
We just have to live with them. They don't do their share, and you just, everybody just, you can't have the
accept it.
attitude, well, I'm doing more than them. You gotta just live with
Right.
that. With that said, there's some people going through membership now, actually started an intentional community in Virginia. They started it, and they didn't have a membership process, and all of a sudden all these people are living there. They could care less about community, they just like the house and everything, and they're leaving the place they started, looking to come here,
Wow.
realizing their mistake was not having a membership process.
Right.
Yeah, and
What is your membership process like? I'm sorry if you already answered
yeah,
that
no, and
question.
then, yes, so basically you meet a good part of the community, 3 or 4 families at a time. And so that way, when you move in, we hope it does 2 things. We hope it gives people, a lot of people come in here thinking it's utopian and they're going to move here, be happy, live ever after. But, we're humans, so it's the
Right.
same. What you bring, what you bring in is what you get back, and it's like anywhere else in the world. But people come here with that high expectation, and then when something doesn't go their way, they use an excuse to disengage from the community. And,
That's evil spirits inside of it.
yeah, so, it's humans, so it's damn humans, but,
Heal and forgive them all.
yeah, but, so that's, we hope people going through the membership process will ask hard questions, realize it's just, it's like, that's one reason the membership committee is elected, because like with, any group of humans, if you ask 25 people the same question, you're going to get 25 answers.
Certainly.
And our hope
yeah.
with the membership committee is at least it's people that deliver what is the real message as most of us see it, as to what the community is. And so after you meet the 3-4 families at a time, there's actually 2 aspects of the community. It is a social thing and a social community. But we are a landholding corporation, and we're business partners, and so we have to make sure people have the resources and wherewithal to not stick everybody else with their debts, and
Right.
if they, money's what breaks up most marriages and probably most communities,
Yeah.
and so, we try to be intereconomic, so you get the house cheaper because you're not buying the land. And the houses here run everything from shacks to mansions. There's all kinds of housing in here. But the modern reality is, there's a baseline for housing anywhere now that is high.
Got a name for you too. Not quite that friendly.
So, but then after you go through all these meetings, there's a vote. It's a very high bar. 4/5 of the members have to approve it. And it's a very, very, very rarely. I've seen 3 parties voted out in my 37
Wow.
years here.
3 what?
And 3 parties got voted out at the end of the membership process,
Wow.
where probably hundreds left before that. And of the 3 I'm aware of, one said things that people perceive to be blatantly racist.
Oh.
And one, they sort of let known their dream was to store a lot of junk cars on their lot.
Right.
And the other one was actually a mystery, and we actually modified our membership process to make sure it doesn't happen again.
A mystery.
I mean, nobody really knows.
It was like the
what
Arms movie.
But now we have a midway point, and that's what we're going to have now for somebody in the closed part of the meeting.
Which is a good thing,
Yeah.
because if there's any concerns, you don't want to address them at the very end of the process. I mean, there are cases where people have asked for a second meeting with the candidates because they say, you know what, there's something that doesn't sit right for me, and there's an opportunity to then address it and talk it through.
It all sounds very sensible.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, I mean, we're still learning from our mistakes all the time. And then, of course, we've been around long enough that we forget what we know and make the mistakes again.
And then do you do other practical things like legal background checks and...
We've been really torn on that.
Yeah.
We had one instance, honestly, remember with the Eubank house? That was, in fact, John Harding, whose name I mentioned, was president, and So this was a couple that came through this. The only time that I ever saw this in my nearly 26 years now. But this couple. So part of the membership process, when people live close by to start the membership process, 1 or 2 people from the membership committee will come to your house, say, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, to kind of
Where we live now.
yeah, yeah, well, yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
that's
yeah,
nice.
yeah. And they didn't want that to happen, and they said that they were like in transition, but then they approached an older couple, John and Margie were in their 90s probably, when they left, and they offered them like a deal, like they said, what was it again? They said, we get your house and we'll pay or something. It was their down payment or whatever was needed at Penswood at the retirement community. And it was like, that doesn't sound right. No, if you want to, you can buy the house and then the Eubanks will do with that money what they want to do with it.
Right.
And then John did some detective work, and they were operating under false names. I mean, they were really criminals.
What's a Eubank?
That's
What's a
scary.
Eubank?
No, Eubank was the last name of the family that.
Oh, I was like, banks? No, I don't use that system.
No. So they were, and luckily, really good friends. John Harding, I mean, did his homework and said, because that doesn't sound right. I mean, it's not like give me your house and we'll then pay somewhere else for you.
Right.
They really, and then they disappeared.
Yeah.
But you know that is one of the marginal problems here, is getting mortgages on houses because you know it's banks don't like having mortgages on leased land.
I bet.
And there's ways around it.
6 minutes till meeting starts.
Yeah.
Blessings, madame.
So a lot of it is
A lot of fairies and angels
building
I see in
relationships
this
with the
location.
banks that they learn to trust us over the years. And on one hand, it seems like a no-loss thing for them. We can't let a house go in default, you know, because we own the land together and we can't break a piece of land out of the house.
Yeah, that's wrong.
And so
You're all
we're
one big
co-signing
unit.
on all the mortgages
It's
for
the
houses.
safest.
So,
It's the safest investment a bank can make.
safest thing for the bank. But on the other hand, banks like just to resell the mortgages.
Yeah,
when they're done with
definitely.
them.
Like a small country.
Yeah.
But
Because I'm
You
Lebanese.
talk to
We
a
know about
couple,
other countries.
you develop
And then we go to this
relationships with a
country
couple
and we
banks
create it
and,
again
that's
in a
the way
different
around
way.
that.
And then we
they
go
hold the
to government
mortgages
and then we see what we can get through it. And then we go back and then we come studying the church and all the good stuff.
They just have to get ready. So we're going to have a small closed part of the meeting. And like I said, that's when we talk about, we're going to have that midway meeting and somebody's finishing the membership process too. And then we'll open it up for everybody to come in.
And the reason why we have the closed portion is when we talk about prospective members, we want to keep that private amongst only the voting members. Yeah,
That makes sense.
but that will be 10-15 minutes at most, and then it's open.
Okay.
And we
guys.
since COVID, we do things. Is Pete gonna run the meeting?
Yeah, I heard he's actually
So our president had
two broken legs.
2 broken legs. So he's
Healed and
he's in a
forgiven.
rehab.
Feel well, feel well.
But luckily, because of COVID, at some point everything was virtual. Then we had the mixed model, and so we are all set up now. We've invested in the equipment and Pete will from the rehab
No, he's
place.
actually coming here.
No.
Oh,
I've just
yay.
seen him. Yeah.
He's blessing us with his energy.
Okay.
Well, then he may receive some more health and love.
Remember the scene in the Blues Brothers movie where they had the chicken wire going?
Did Ed say that he has some
They're inside.
They're gonna go on the meeting, and then it's gonna be closed, but then they open it up.
Well, wait till you
It's
see.
gonna be closed just for a little
Chicken
bit.
wire, I have chickens. I'm like,
I have 18 chickens.
I just had 30 ones and then now there's 10 left because you know how they die after they're born. Stuff happens to the eggs and stuff and the other chickens trample them. So you separate them and put them in different locations.
We have 18 now, and I'm quite concerned that one of the hens is going to become a rooster suddenly.
Oh, yeah.
And that's I mean, I don't mind having a rooster, but one neighbor
No, we didn't come here
neighbor
to swim.
family, there's some health issues there, and they have a very different sleeping routine.
It's for the people that live here. We don't live here.
And I mean, in the summertime to have a rooster going all out at 4:35 o'clock in the morning.
What's your baby's
I mean, it's not. These people
Anaya.
don't like it.
These people here,
What's that?
The people here?
Yeah.
That's fun to say,
And-
right?
I mean,
Hi, Anaya.
they've never told us
it's
not
so
to have, but we know
Born
it's
Christmas
it's
Eve.
disrupting.
Christmas Eve.
to
Oh,
their
that's so
routine,
magical.
Jesus, baby.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's really close to mine.
She's very sociable because she's around so many people all the
that's
time.
right.
Oh
Yeah.
my gosh, she's
I
so.
think she's going to be unique in her her age with her peers because a lot
Yeah.
of people are very isolating. Like after
Yeah, like keep them in like
and
yeah.
especially during the COVID times, people are like just But she's been around.
Did we ever tell you the story? Probably not. Eh? So, the local librarian from the local elementary school. Well, the elementary schools have reorganized from 6 to 3, but at the time that they were still 6, my older boys were going through school. And the librarian at the elementary school, really kind of across the street from where we live here, she ended up becoming the superintendent of the school. And we had a meeting with her years later, and she said at one point to person, she said, I always knew when she was librarian and closer to the kids, she said, I always knew when it was a kid from Bryn Gweled. And my wife says, like, why? She said, because they look you in the eye. She said, and that's exactly what happens. I mean, our kids are comfortable with any age, and in suburbia, that's
That
not
doesn't
always
happen.
there.
Yeah.
And so,
Feel
like,
and forgive her.
my 10-year-old is gonna look after neighbors' chickens when they're out of town, and the cat, and I mean, so it's always my older ones were kind of, I mean, not babysitting so much, but kind of entertaining,
Helping.
help.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's the community. Yeah? I mean, no, it's a special place to live. I love it here.
I like the way that you do things. I like the way that it sounds. I like the
And I want-
contributism.
And I want to
instead of-
mention one thing why it works so well for me. I could not live in a commune, for example. That's not how I want to live. What is so beautiful about Bryn Gweled is, and you don't need 2 acres for that, but our home is our retreat. Yeah, I mean, we do not need curtains on our windows.
yeah.
I mean, in the winter time we can see one neighbor in the distance.
Sure.
And that's what I love. I need that also. I don't want to be always surrounded by everybody. I want to be able to retreat. So that's something. I mean, but of course, some people. I'm sure there are people here in Gweled who would love to live in a real commune.
Sure.
For me, that wouldn't work. And so, but it's something to keep. I think it's good for people to be able to kind of like. I mean, when I went through my divorce, I kind of withdrew a little bit. There was too much to worry about with my ex and 2 young kids and juggling all of that. But then there has to be space for that. You can't. Not everybody can be 200%.
No, yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Spirit
I mean,
energy.
I'm more involved than my wife just because she puts the youngest one to bed still. I mean, so it's I think I don't want to let it sound like it's like this is not utopia here, and there are people who don't talk to each other, who had a falling out about something. Yeah, sure.
You want off the Eddie because they're going to get the.
That happens. I mean, do you have a conflict like resolution model?
Not officially,
or
but the board steps in and
when
that's
it's necessary?
done, behind the scenes.
Okay.
And I always say, I mean, when there's conflict in this community, it's normally not so much about a certain decision that's been made, but it's the process.
Okay.
If people do not feel heard,
Yes.
they know that
makes
they're in a
sense.
minority, and I always say that is the secret. But not everybody's willing to commit to that process because, for starters, we only meet once a month to begin with. If it's a contentious issue, 6 months will fly by.
Right.
And some people say, I'm fed up with this. I mean,
Right.
But there's also the spirit of the community is very much Quaker.
Okay.
And
that's what we wanted to hear.
and I think
I was gonna say that.
is Quaker.
Okay.
And there's a bunch of people who call themselves Quakers who go to Quaker meeting, I think.
Okay.
We live by the Quaker town.
But the spirit is really one. Like Quakers have a saying that I learned by living here. It's time to step aside because you strive for consensus, but of course that doesn't always work. Yeah?
Right.
And so, but at some point, if you're in a small minority,
Yes.
you have to be willing to say, look, yeah, I completely disagree, but I'm not gonna continue
Right.
to stop what 80% of the community wants to do, and that's not easy.
No, it's not.
And
but
for some people, we have a couple of families. They were so upset or so frustrated about something, and they kind of checked out. Yeah, you don't see, and I think they make a big mistake
right.
because I mean they lose out on a lot of
Yeah,
things.
yeah.
But look, that's their choice. Yeah. So
I think I'm glad that you said the Quaker thing because that's what we were doing. We are with the Quakers and we all talk and then we stop talking. Then the next person talks and it's a silence.
I missed it because I came down a month ago. But when there's somebody who passes away in the community, quite often the celebration of life is a Quaker
Oh,
is a
nice.
Quaker meeting. And for non-Quakers, it can be really, I mean, they come here, they don't know what to expect. And I missed the last one. I had written something that was read for the person who passed away. But, it was, it's, yeah. So that, like, in our meetings also, I mean, I hope there's no big debate about anything tonight, but
Well, that
you'll
would be
see
good to see
people,
too.
People will speak their mind, and I'm invited inside now.
Yes, you are.
Love you and bless
Everybody
you.
would bring a chair with them,
Yeah.
please.
Certainly.
Yeah.